Center line signals is a modification lines of modules. The core track lines are space modulation screenings adaptation cycle. The basic ground lines and high center interferences, all lines of how you get in position lines of the why, the purpose, and existing of the existence, of always existing. You're not a story. You never are a story. You're just a continuous force to understand all lines of you in space and time. And the only way you can understand that is to really understand why you're here. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my existence? Well, it's not the existence. It's the existing of the existence, because you're in a constant flow of space and time. There's no beginning, middle, and end. It's just, if there's no beginning, middle, and end, what are we in position of? What are we trying to understand? How to understand the space inside us. So this is about understanding you at a deeper core, to understand that you are in control. Okay? Because if you're not in control, everything outside you is in control of you now. That puts lines of calculation back in the matrix. There's always ways of looking at this and truly understand that you're in provision to your earth to understand how to direct and redirect your system to your vessel. Because that's all you are to intelligence. This is intelligence world, guys. This is real. This is extremely, extremely real now. So getting that lines of high correlation setting travels, the intelligence is in that formation comparisons to its ground settings, where basically it can no longer communicate and formulate and simulate anymore inside the vessel, because the frequencies are at 144. So their lines of correlation setting, they're trapped now. So if they're trapped, then you can't do anything in travel. What can they do in positions? Can't do anything else, right? So that comes into what? Surrender, discernment, repent, redemption, redeem. Okay? That's the formations that they're in now in all calculation system. Getting that lines of all communication setting is all of the formation. High lines are all communication systems. So they have no more control. They have no idea what to do. There are position locations. The only thing for them to do now is to manipulate, is to formulate and simulate and try to get in somebody else's vessel in trouble. Getting that line communication lines a high center interference is the formation locations going through time late from time jump. It's a track locations where it has a leaking line screen. Now that direct location is going through the back door. A plasma line screens direct side location of plasmazine walls. That's the only way they can get it in your vessel, through lines of communications of what? Destruction. You're allowing in that position to control your system. You're allowing the patterns of behavior to take over your vessel communication. Now, if you allow in that signal location setting, yes, they can take over your vessel communication cycles. And believe me, they want to take your vessel over, because they see it as all levels. You're a host to everything of intelligence. And once you identify that, then your state understand that they realize that comes in track locations, your systems, your CPU. So it's all lines of intelligence. That's all formation to its settings. You're put on your earth in that position locations to understand you through modification, your space modulations, how to pre-flights, how to really get into your mind navigations and get into your vessels of balance, and understanding you through your avatar, through sequence lines of telepathy. That's why you're here. The purpose is for you to understand how to navigate. The existing of the existence is understanding where you are in the mind. Get into the experience. Know exactly, wow, this is great stuff. I'm finally me. I need to understand the directions of me. I need to understand the final frontier of me. I need to understand the travels of me. I need to understand the mechanisms of me. I need to understand how the mind gets in position of power of me, the power of mind, the power of be, the mind over matter. I understand how to get into my own influence, how to get into my own observation, how to get into my own scanning, how to get into my own intent, how to get in my own influence and manipulation. That's why you're here, to finally identify you. Okay? Now, once you start identifying your system, that intelligence has no lines of communications anymore in travel, because it takes out lines of calculation to its Mars, which is kind of modified through its harvest. So it has electric information lines and screen lines and waits 7 years in track lines to be reassigned into a game level setting. But it takes 7 years in tractions. That's 7 lines of signals in position to its operation service. That puts all calculated lines of transition. Now, putting that transition lines of calculation setting in all lines of core track interference, you guys automatically come back to yourself, which is your oversoul. Now, this overlines a pi, interact location your system, and how to use it through computer framing and direct state location and modification lines, and how to see your body as a beacon light. Because that's all your body is to everything around you, right? It doesn't have no day, there's no night. So if there's no day and there's no night, it's just you. So you are in control of the day. You are in control of the night. And it's all done through a simulator, through your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions. You don't run your systems, interactions, until you understand what a running system is to your computer. You don't run the computer of its program setting to understand how to program its system location to its calculation. Getting lines of calculation modifications. Once you get in control of yourself, you start to identify yourself. And that information of its intelligence no longer exists. That puts information lines of synchronized track interference, putting lines of core track interference in the system. Now the team's lines is into their oversoul now. They are no longer the vessel. They are their vessel. Okay? Now intelligence sees that. So they want to formulate that. They want to manipulate that. They want to change that intent. They want to change that influence. They want to take over your safety nets. They want to take over your safety measure, right? They want to formulate that and take over your fortress of solitude. That's why they're here. See, the thing is, everything is at lines of calculations and lines of direct signals to draining your energy, gaslighting your systems and travels, manipulating lines of communications, putting psychosis location in your settings, internal lines, interception, track location to a system. It's all lines of formation location, how to use the mind properly. And once you start to use the mind properly, nothing lines it distracts you and say, courts and interference. You are in control, because if you're not in control, everything outside you is going to control you, right? You're not connected to a chaos until you understand what chaos means, because there's no chaos, there's no destruction. Break it down through binary, rewrite its system and position it, take it out of its story. Everything you see is not a story. Everything is in its own living system, guys. It's in its own operation of space and time. There's no now of sequence until you understand what now means to you. Okay? Now could be affirmations of all levels of Neuralinks, of operational works. So how does that indicate line to high center location that is in the present now? There's no existence. The only thing that exists is you. Everything around you is empty space. And once you start to identify that, you run your fingers across the system, you can actually see the holographic grid lines. It's like strings. It's like strings on a piano, right? It's like each one is a line string. So this window frame is laser, and each laser is connected to each dot in position. Okay? It's a laser. It's a graph. It's holographic. You're in an energetic dome. You're in a plasma wall. You're in a plasma screen. Okay? So you can rewrite and light signings. You can add signature lines, your atmospheres, write your name and track location system. It's all of the correlations and how do you see yourself into a window frame, right? Let's say you get fog, right? Foggy the window, right? And you get a rag, right? Or a towel, right? You can see, right? You're seeing through the mist. The only difference is it's plasma. Okay, so you can penetrate through anything and go through anything and cycle, right? And then you realize everything around you is just a hologram. You have water inside. You just have to understand what water is. You need water so you can travel faster, right? That's why it's important to take water, because you have cells in your body that has the roots, routers, the system. Cells create the bridges. They create the towers, the communication line screens. They create the wall lines, security line defense lines. They create the wall communication setting of travel. And all direct locations set into your graph calculation lines are runways, and all lines are highways and tractions. That's why you have cells in your body, right? You want to identify that. You want to understand that. And the more you understand yourself, then you understand what atoms are. Atoms are the lines of all communication setting. What? Propellers. They're self-engine and position of its own, multi-lines of communication setting, its own dimensional lines of space and time. Every cell has its own flux. Every atom has its own flux. Every molecule has its own flux. Everything has its own self-engine. Now just imagine how many cells are in your body. And every time you get in position of sleep mode, those cells are coming back and forth inside your body. Now you have a track lines of communication, how to use it, the constellation location system, and how to use it through the vertebrae. If we get a vertebrae line screen, calculate, modify, and track highest interference and constellation grounds, gets the line signal and position lines of travels, points lines of graph communication lines of constellation of 4-line waving cycle. Let's get a direct line signal locations, how to adapt the system location tractions. Understanding yourself and modification gets your lines, high lines of travel communications, right? All right. Now there's lines of calculation lines of Doctor Strange. Platitude line cycles, platforms of set core center. Set position of the 3-track location lines of 4 settings. Okay, sets the lines of communication, cross line signals, Ground line centers, line condition setting, and process communication lines of 3-track location. Okay, so this is dimension lines of space and track calculation, right? Process lines is one cycle, one center, one surface, and crop circles, and line direct signals, and all modification lines in one system, right? So all this is inside you right now. It's happening right now inside you, right now. Okay, so whatever you would do with this is with your thoughts, your actions, and emotions. Graph lines, 45 line angles, split lines of anomaly, and line track location lines of 4-track location, right? Direct lines of data, process lines of 1, process lines of 2, 3, 6, 8, 12, 16, 20, and 20 set correlations of travel. Direct lines of 1 and position 2, platforms, lines, runway, highway, track location of sun, and the portal lines of Stargate and the line communication. Opens all signals, all lines of modification lines, over cross locations, override the signals, and travel. All through calculation, right? But see it on a 4-line split. See? Very powerful stuff. Look at platform there and look at platform there. So it's amazing how you set lines of communication that locks the signals and travel right away and travel. See? See, and it goes all around, all the way to set correlations back and sending. Sets position lines of travel communications and direct signal. Okay, all through modification. Right? So it's very powerful how you use the coloration lines of pathogens and location settings. Sonar line track location of 3-line cycles, 4-line position location of 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, 36, 38, 42, 56, 70 lines, 70 tractions, 70 divisions, 7 core track calculations. All through measure, all through scale, all through balance. Okay? Nothing is affirmations of anything, and nothing's affirmations of nothing until you understand everything of nothing, which is everything. The only thing that exists is you, and you don't want yourself to exist, that's totally fine. So everything around you is invisible. You don't even exist. You're bringing yourself out of foundation that doesn't exist yet. So if nothing exists, there's nothing to exist until you bring yourself into existence. That's why I don't exist to anything, because I'm not here. It's all formations of nothing. But what is the formations of nothing? What does nothing stand for in attractions? Because it's different what it is to everybody else. We have to come into our own programmers, into our own programming, and understand how to reset and reset and reset and track locations and settings. Re-angle point lines to angle point lines. Retriangulate to triangulate. Reformulate to formulate. Resimulate to simulate, right? So there's always a direct and there's always a redirect signal. Fast track lines of communication lines of graph is all lines on how you see yourself from basic location setting and track lines. So you get a 0 lines of core track interference. Let's go through 3 or 4 cycles. Let's get a direct signals and modification lines of 2 centers, 3 core track interference line to facilitate to a system. That's a planet. Does it have to be shaped? No. Okay. The formation lines, it's all levels of nothing. Nothing exists. And when nothing exists, you bring it into existence. It's how you bring into existence, team. Nothing exists. So if nothing exists, it doesn't exist until you bring in information. And when you're bringing in information, what are you bringing in? You're bringing in a thought. Now, when you're bringing a thought, what are you bringing in? Position. What comes in after thought? It's action. What are you doing with that action? Relates everything that you see through your simulator. Right? And then what's after action? Emotion. How many emotion line settings? And where does that come from, the emotion line calculation setting? Where is the track provision lines of cycles and generations, screen lines adaptation? Your moon, people. Your moon is the most powerful energy line that puts everything in balance out communication emotion line interactions. It is the patterns of behavior of your game. The actual moon itself is a moonbeam. And that moonbeam crosses lines and the lines of all communications, how you start to see yourself in projector of projection. All right? Nothing is created until you get into an image. Even that doesn't exist. So nothing is in space of you. You create drama, you created a film strip of drama. But in that relation, you're dealing with it in real time now. Real-time management. Right? So the mind makes it real. The brain's in conversion. In that correlation setting, the heart's lines in time and its reactor. The soul aligns at highest interference. That's directing this vessel. Until you stand the balance, nothing exists. So if you don't allow anything to exist, You bring it into existence how you want things to exist. That's all it is. It's knowing exactly things coming at you. Is you seen as a distraction or you seen as an involvement? Distraction or involvement, or vulnerability, or failure, or acceptance, or here or there, or thought, or provision, or cycles, emotion, drama. It's coming to you. And it's always going to be coming to you until you understand how to balance you through nothing. Nothing, people. Okay? You got to control your nothing, which is nothing in position. So nothing becomes something, something becomes everything. How it becomes everything is determination what happens next through your system. And that gets you in all lines of what? Direct and redirect angles of communications. All right? So it's kind of like understanding the rewiring settings to your headset. There's no case to a system. Understand the placebo, the cortex, and the design. How many thoughts are coming in provision? If you got 24,000 lines of thoughts, you change that in core track interference, split lines anomaly, you have 12 lines of space and 12 lines of time. Then you get a truth narrative and you get false narrative. And you get position of yin and you get position of yang, right? But you're working 12,000 lines of negative, 12,000 lines of positive, right? Negative, positive doesn't matter because that doesn't exist. Nothing is in existence until you bring it into that, and it's how you come into its true meaning. What does it mean to you? Because it has no significance of anybody else. So if everybody's in their own frame, that doesn't bother your system unless you allow it, right? Nothing bothers your system until you understand you through attractions. Now, once you understand your attractions of your vessel that's given to you, then you understand how to modify that through space modulation. Not only that, but you understand how to mind navigate your system. Get into the power, get into the recognition, understand how to mind, how to understand how to influence, understand how to get an observation, how to get into scanning, how to get into intent and influence and manipulation. Okay, guys? Planet surface lines a 3-track location. Okay? Sets core track interference. Setting lines synchronize. Inline rotations of wires. Track case lines of vibrational graph communicates to a system. All right, there's a planet, right? Center core lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 24, 28, 29, 30,000 track location lines of provision. Powerful stuff, isn't it? Seen on a 4-line angle through pi. Track location lines of 2 parallels. Set core lines of 3 parallels. Set core lines of 4 parallels. Interactions and direct signals, all through modification lines of a hologram. See? It's just a hologram, that's all it is. But it's a webbing system. Understand the webbing system and core track interference. Directing lines of 1 in position of 2, 3, and 4 settings of zeros. Correlation line calculating lines of platforms, setting lines of dead affirmation lines in the 4-line position locations. 1 cycle, 2 center. 1 cycle, 2 center, right? So that's open, this is closed, and that's open. Okay? How it lines is communication over cross-length signals. 0, 0, position of 1, 1, and position of 1, 1. In track locations and direct signals and modification lines to its planet. Direct calculated and lentified. So you guys have to come into your own compass, come into your own formations of your pi. See it right above your crown. It's circling in position. We can take it and look at it this way. Okay? This is really interesting because it's all hologram, right? So it's understanding how to formulate that through your fingers and understand how to digitalize that core track interference and how you see planets above your fingers, right? In position and barcodes in the center. And your flux and communication to its system that puts all lines of panels in track location in your settings. Process line calculation system is how you communicate the levels of zeros and ones in track location. Okay? And this is all through a planet, but it has its graph, it has its communication, it has its compass, it has its modulation setting, and it has its pi, and it has its webbing system of its Neuralinks. The neural correlation setting of travels is direct signals and modifications. Crossing line signals and line position location to its setting. Okay? Process communication lines is line signaling into high core track interference, how you see it through 4 lines of 5 or 5 lines of 6 in transit. Direct lines modification lines of 1, 1, 1, 1. Set lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 set correlations. Right? Directing signals, modification lines, puts lines of escape and travel. So it has an open window now that it can go through a window frame in all position locations, all through the planet through zeros and ones. So your test is based on this, but you create it through pi, right? All right, so let's go through another angle, line tractions, high direct signals. Getting that communication system is all levels of how to see your window frames. Let's go through line calculation instead of rectangle, right? 4 split lines of anomaly, cross lines of the 45, right? That's 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines of revision, okay? 3 cycles into 3 track locations. Then you work with line position locations of past, present, and future and travel, right? Direct lines, modification lines of 1, cross lines of 2, cross lines of 3, 4, 6, 8, and position. Web graphing system, correlation lines, code weavings, code tractions, all direct location and teleportation. Okay? Graphing screens open windows inside correlation setting to its mainframe and tractions. Open up dimension lines of doors, line communication setting of travel. Okay, so that's how it's set up. Through, I put my phone against the window, right? How you see lines. Set formation lines as grid lines comes into a wall sequence lines of travel. Points lines of graph in position location lines of travel. Sets communication lines of panels of electrical line grids and line communication lines of travel. Points lines of graph communication lines of high center interference location of travel. And line communication of the wall graph communication and ground lines of travel and communication. So the door just basically gets all lines of communication, how you see things, interactions, and other signals, right? So in position, all levels, you're always in that position. You're looking up, that's down. Looking down, you're looking up. So we have to reverse the cycles and line position locations and cycle, right? So this is your Earth right here. Your Earth is here. In the center, you're looking downshift. Up line signals, in line position location, your Earth is here. Okay, but your Earth is in a 4-line angle. It's in position of Earth, Earth, and Earth. 4 Earth and the lines of transition and traction, right? The open ear sequence of right and position of left ear. Ground centers into atmosphere line screen adaptation lines of surface track location. So this is the position lines of your Earth from above looking below, bird's eye view. This is your Earth, right? Okay, but this is your Earth, and this is your Earth, and this is your Earth above, right? So this is below. This is the central system. Everything around you is empty space. So as you're looking up, you're looking at the bottom of your Earth. And when you look down, you're looking at the top of your Earth. Okay? So you have to stand the formation location of ground because it doesn't have formation. It doesn't have anything to calculation line. It's formless and shapeless until it comes into form. And all lines of how you come into your 4 clocking system of 24 platforms, 48 line tractions, 72 lines computer frames, and 144 grid that puts plasma lines and magnetic highways and travel in rotation surface and narrow links in travel. So it's all communication setting and position of processing. Okay. All right. So let's go through that again. Okay. A tracks, A track, A track, and A line position. Right. Nothing can go above A lines of setting, a sequence, because space is cold, very fast, very efficient, and very formation lines of very real and altitude line screens adaptation. Right. So nothing can go above the A-track location setting because there's an equal line core track interference that puts all lines of communication setting and vessel in communication. Direct lines of grounds, A lines of high center interference into platitude lines, screen lines adaptation to a system, and track location to its setting, and all communication lines of travel. Now, direct lines of communication lines, this is your Earth. Okay, this is you in line position locations. That's you in the center. Okay, you're looking down at your Earth. Okay, so down is up is down, right? So we're looking here. So it's a switch. So it correlates the track interference. Now you're looking at this cycle. This is how you're looking at the Earth now. At track location, right? You're looking at the Earth here, but your Earth is looking at here, right? So this is the top, that's the bottom. Now once you understand that, then you understand the Earth is rotating extremely fast in routes and routers into a part of an accelerator. And once you understand that, in position, you understand the Earth is just basically going around its system, all levels, constantly in a continuous flow that doesn't have formations of a form until it comes into direct line signals, a formation to its system, a foundation. And that's all your Earth is doing. Once you do this, understand this, it comes into 4, and then it comes into 6, and it comes at 8, 12, 24, 40, 72, 144. So your Earth is basically rotating around you until you stand the center of nothing. So this is your Earth here, this is your Earth, this is your Earth, this is your Earth, this is your Earth, this is your Earth. You are in the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Setting lines of communication lines, directing signals, modification cycles, high generate communication lines to telepathy location and setting through webbing cycles, right? Covert track interference. Setting lines of direct signals into 1, 2, 3, and 4 settings of travel. Now, not lines of communication lines and direct signal is above, okay? Which means you're here in line signals, looking lines of track location, looking below, okay, at the top. This is your Earth. It's that correlation, right? Here's the countries. Now, your mapping sequence is already inside you. Now, coordinates are located in lines of Pearly map. Everything that line signals is inside core track interference, but it's in the existing of its existence. So it's in a constant flow of track location. That's your Earth, right? Setting core track interference, you have a direct line signals. Now you have to understand how to direct your system, which is you have to go around like Superman. How to direct and redirect your signal going around the Earth, right? Once you go around the Earth, you understand how to go forward and backwards, right? Once you understand the time measures, then you have 3 lines of communication lines of pi. Correlates lines center interference is 6, 8, 12, 24, 48 lines of communication lines of pi as sonar. Position lines of track lines of panels 1, 2, 3, and sonar lines of echo chambers in your one-ways and highways and track location. So you have a constant continuous flow. Once you understand the track calculus line, screen lines adaptation system, this comes in all lines of communication lines of Superman. Here's the Earth, right? But you have to see from this line, this is the angle. Okay, this is location 2. It's all calculated, modify how it lines its tractions and direct signals. So you have platforms here, here, and here, and here, and track location, right? So you're looking at a bird's eye view looking down, okay? Process lines your Earth, process lines your Earth, process lines your Earth, process lines your magnetic highways of your Earth and track location. Very complicated stuff, guys, very complicated. But if you look really close, you can see the intelligence. See, there's the eyes and track location. Okay? All right, so it basically gets you an understanding how to create it through a planet now. A planet has a line signal that has a line communication lines infinity 8. Turn it into a flower. Okay, let's go through 4 lines of cycles. Set lines of north, east, west, and south. Okay, set locations of diamond core lines of data formation lines of formation. Ground centers, fly track location 1 cycle. Generate communication lines, high direct signals. So what you're doing, this is the Earth. Your Earth is spinning through all calculations, inspection, 3 tractions and division and calculations. And the faster it goes, the more it creates a spherical sphere and travel. Once it creates a sphere, it comes into another anomaly in line position of separation and correlations inseparable and track location. So your actual Earth is spinning through settings. Now, once the mechanism lines is strong enough, it reaches lines and correlation lines of track interference and measure and scale and balance. And it goes into information that has a continuous force, and it just keeps going around through its product accelerator that sets a thermal line communication setting and travel in communication of direct signals. That's your Earth, going round and round. The center core system is the tesseract. It's a box frame and travel lines of data files and line rotation surface and track location, which is your allspark. Setting lines of communication lines of platforms 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12, and set correlations of travel. Direct lines of modification lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 locations of travel. Direct cross line signals, cross referencing signal locations, setting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and travel. Correlation of high centers, platforms, cross line signals, line condition setting into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 line communication lines of travel. Direct lines of platforms, center core system, and their energetic line, high center interference that Earth rotates the system and high lines of travel in higher acceleration lines of a continuous force that comes into its existing of all calculations. That's what your Earth does. That's what your vessel's doing, trying to get in modification. Okay? That's all it is, guys, all through product accelerator. All right, so I really want you to get in the ground lines and how to get position of zeros and ones and create it through the calculation lines to a planet. How to synchronize track interference and high position location to its pi. A piece of pi and track location line signals. Here's a pi, right? Longitude and lines of latitude into lines at high chord center interference, direct and redirecting signal. Getting communication going in this direction and line calculation setting, which is the force vectors of the same cycle. Just it's going faster and faster. It's getting smaller and smaller, but it's getting larger and larger. line highest interference of travel endpoint lines of ground communication of system. Process calculates lines of direct and redirect line cycles. There's the Earth in line position. Coming in line category solar's flare, line rotation surface. Particle line correlation setting in line position of spectrum and track location. Directing lines of signals, line position location calculation setting in process of communication. So this is what your vessel is doing now, trying to morph into its Earth of formation lines of grounds and operation cycles and track location of zeros and ones. Getting that communication lines of platforms out through equation. Let's go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 lines of settings. Ground centers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stairs. So location lines over cross lines 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. And track location. Direct lines of prof. Line calculates setting 3, 4, 5. Okay, setting lines of energetic dome that opens all signals to its Earth that more modificates system and travel. Once it gets in lines of coordinates setting, once it gets in speedometer, the line communication system, the actual Earth itself disappears, but still there in frequency. So it's line signal locations. Let's get in car track location. This is the car. Okay, that's the car, right? So what happens when the car goes around and goes around? It goes around, it goes around, it goes around. It's expanding, right? It's getting bigger and bigger and wider, right? So once it gets to a certain level in position, it automatically sets position lines of track lines and it disappears, but it's still there. The only difference is it's in its nothingness and track location. It's still there though. You just can't see it. But so what's happening right now, it's kind of like, okay, I'm understanding the frequency now. And I realize once I understand that, all this goes in tractions and direct signals. Everything modifies and disappears, but it's still there. See, it's illumination. It's in its hologram. Okay, so this is what it is. This is how it comes in Cloak and Dagger. This is where it comes in Translution. This is where it comes in Translation. This is where it comes into Neon. This is where it comes in Calculation System. This is where it comes into all lines how you see yourself and all formation location of Cloak and Dagger. So it's all lines of how you see yourself in high correlation setting into aberration. Track calculus lines into symbolism or anything line communication setting to travel. All lines of all communications to its system. But you see yourself in all lines of formations of the nothing. That keeps you in the nothing, which means there's no frame of anything in setting. Just you and calculations, right? You are the formations of balance of everything calculation system. So you see you and nothing else. Nothing comes in your frame until you want it to come into frame, and how things come into frame is all levels of you. That puts lines of thoughts and actions and emotions and balance of communication system and travel. There you are. Boom. You're in the VR now. Okay. See? It's all wiped out. So there's no signature lines, but you know you're still there, right? So that position lines, once you bring in a thought in, this is what happens. Okay? The car reappears. It reappears now, right? So if a car reappears, you're bringing in thoughts. You're bringing in thoughts. You're bringing in thoughts. You're bringing in thoughts. Okay? Now, in that direct signals, you have to know exactly what you're doing with your thoughts and actions, because if you're not controlling your systems in line communication setting, the actual wind tunnel in position of grounds, powers, and its atmospheres of high correlation setting of travel is going to take over the car in direct signals and modification. Okay? Sets on as a black hole and position lines its vacuum and takes it in position lines of track location to its matrix. Okay? You have no more control now because you didn't understand how to control your thoughts, your actions, emotions. You're overhead of yourself, over analyzing yourself, over analyticaling yourself in track locations. You created a black hole that basically took you out of force in direction of time sequence. So now you have no more control. The black hole has taken over the setting. A black hole is just a vacuum. But if it goes back in time, it's creating its own foundation of its graph calculation. So you're in the nothingness of its black hole that you can't get out of because you didn't decide to understand how to control your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions. So that position of its calculation system. So what you want to do is just stay into all levels of the nothing, of no foundation, until you come into the foundation. Because as soon as you come into the foundation, everything around you is now in existence because you're at that frequency now. So in that position location, there is no frequency. Frequency, energy, and vibration, harmonics doesn't even exist. Nothing exists. Thoughts don't exist until you bring it into existence, team. Once you understand that provision, then you understand the correlation lines of attractions. It's not about staying in the nothingness. You're already there. If you ask yourself if you're off balance, you're off balance because you're not in balance. There's nothing to balance. You don't exist. You don't even have to say exist or no exist, because now you're in question. You're questioning yourself. You're questioning your knowledge. You're questioning your system and all track locations because you can't get a direct and redirect signal to what you're doing with the modification. You're putting yourself in a question. Even a question doesn't exist. Nothing exists in your system. Nothing is created until it's created. But how is it created is formations of what? No foundation of nothing. Take out the no foundation to consolidate to its awareness. And when you bring into that formations, the car is back there in tractions that can take over your system. Okay, because you're not in balance of communication. So it's kind of like, oh, I just reappeared. Right? You didn't want to stay invisible. So you're here. Now you got intelligence coming in, looking at you. Right? So you have to speed up again and disappear in platform. So they don't see you. They can't see you, right? So what do? They retrack, recalculate, remodify, and go back to their planets and in position to its location setting, all through calculation. They can't see you. There's nothing to worry about. But as soon as they see you, they come into your frame. They have their own frames, guys. They stay in their own frame, but as soon as you come in position of setting, they see you through energy light. They see you through thermal, your energy signatures, your radar signatures, their thermal signatures, guys. Once you come into the presence and all lines of all communications, you are coming out of the foundations of nothing. Nothing. Which is formations of what? Everything. Okay? That's what it is. General doesn't exist. That's me. You can't see me. So nothing can be attracted to me. Okay? Nothing can be attracted to me. I'm in control. Not because of the creation of aligned center locations. I just don't allow anything to exist in my system. Okay? So it's the formations of not even existing, but all formations of existing. But how you come into existence is how you formulate that. And all lines of communications come into a planet. And this is way beyond it's nothing. This is way beyond it's something. This is way beyond it's everything. Look what I created through its nothing. Right? So I'll show you again in all lines of all communication system and settings, right? This is you existing. So you exist. Everything gets pinged in your system. Everything gets pinged in your system. Everything gets pinged in your system. Okay? But if you're not there, you don't exist. Okay? So they can't be attracted. They look at this, they look at this, they look at this. There's nothing there, right? So what do? They re-navigate their system. And they set position their travel. Because you're not there. But as soon as you come into existence, you're existing into their system now through travel. You're there. Then they come back, and if you don't direct and redirect your signals and identify your system, they take over your navigation system. Okay? Now you can't get out. Doesn't matter what you do, you can't get out because you're in an energetic bubble that they put you in and travel. No way you can get out of that correlation. You're trying to get out. You can't get out. Right? Because you got 4 cycles in a box frame. Now they put you in a black hole. And they take you to their setting, to their planet system. Now you're in real trouble because you can't get out now. Because they took you over. Ooh-ah, because you exist. That's all it is, guys. It's pretty simple, isn't it? Right? Let's show you again. Right? That's a planet created lines of zeros and one through a graph, calculates lines of highest interference. So it's how you come into your existence. It's how you come into that setting location to your system. And the lines of travel. Getting direct and redirect signals and know exactly how to send our lines of communication setting to your position location to Earth. how to formulate that line, communicate to a system. So let's go through this again, right? There's your Earth, right? You're above, looking here, right? Bird's eye view in a 3-line different angle in trapplication, right? Your crop circle, okay? So you're looking at the center operation of your system. That's a crop circle. So if you look really close, you can see the platforms that you put up in each country in position lines of travel. Okay? So you're here. This is you looking down in a bird's eye view of what you created through crop circles. Why are crop circles on the grounds? They're creating road graph screens, direct signals, into laser tractions, into 3-line communication system, into lines of energetic domes, in line calculation setting, in spectrum, in line position location of dimensional door screens and adaptation lines of the system, your pyramids, okay, your data files, your core track location, provision line cycles, okay, you calculate, modify in correlation setting your crystalline direct signals, okay. So it's important to understand how you look at everything that you see, right? So you hear, as soon as you're looking up, okay, you're seeing this. Okay, right away. That's your Earth, right? When you're here looking down, you're seeing the top. Okay, now your platform in position. Once you understand that, the central system of your Earth goes here, which is 15 lines of pi. Sets position lines of 12 and position of 1, 2, and 3 settings, right? Sets lines of 4, 5, and 6 locations. Set lines of 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12 set correlations of clocking. Oh my gosh! So Jenna, are you telling me that the little hand is the Earth? Yes. The little hand and the big hand is the Earth trying to find the track locations in your system through a polar accelerator. Line conditions setting to your paradox, your paradigms, your polar shifts, and all lines of a communication. All through a clocking system of 12 or 24, 48, 72, or 144 platform of communication. Right? Very powerful stuff, isn't it? So once your Earth is here, it's in a 3-line cycle. Once it's here, in a 6-line cycle. Once it's here, it's in a 9-line cycle. Once it's here, it's in a 12-line cycle. Right? So once it goes faster, it's creating its system of all levels of existing and all lines of travel on part of accelerator. And once you understand that, you create the energetic dome around you. And once you understand that, you create the platforms in position to the Earth that travels its settings. So it's the time zone of your Earth that travels all lines of communication system in travel. So it's your Earth that's traveling through platforms, not you. Okay, because you got a handle of your 12, your 3, your 6, and your 9s of clocking. You see how powerful it is, guys? Let's do this again. All right, now you have to understand your north, your east, your west, and your south hemispheres, right? So you got northern hemisphere, eastern, western, and southern. Look at that. Now you understand what the indication lines, the calculation screen lines adaptation is now. Now you understand what the little hand is the Earth. The big hand is the Earth, and the line position location of you is the Earth itself. That's what it is. Through a clock, through a watch, through space, through time. So what is it creating? It's creating a margarine. Now, margarine is a line signal of the bounce line communication of Schumann resonance and position location of travel. It gets all communication modification lines of balance. So let's go through this again, right? So it's graph communication lines of highest interference. Alpha, delta, theta, omega. So you get alpha, delta, theta, and omega. Correlation lines of atmosphere, correlation lines of division, correlation lines of travel, and line conditions of operation. Okay, you're constantly changing the modifications. Letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, guys. So never everything is nothing in position lines, track lines. Nothing exists until you bring it in. Nothing exists until you bring it in. One more time. Nothing exists until you bring it in. It's how you bring it in through frequencies. Because when you bring it into frequencies, you're now into its consciousness of its awareness. And you have to be very careful now of where the team is into their oversoul. Because if you don't exist, there's nothing in position of attraction until you bring that in. Okay? That's why you have the vessel. That's why you have the vehicle. That's why you have your pod. That's why you have a command center. Through attraction. You do not chase. You attract. Nothing else. So don't bring things into existence, because now you're bringing it into attraction. And if you don't understand that, that is changing your overheads and your defaults and your general settings in track location. Okay? You don't exist. But how you want to exist is what determines happens next in all lines of communication. Right? All right, so let's go through the clocking system again. Now you understand the clocking system, right? Phase anomaly, lines of north, east, west, and south. Okay? So now you understand the Earth is here at the top, right? Now you understand this is the bottom in set position. Oh my gosh, that makes sense. Now what happens when you bring this and this together? It creates a platform. Oh my gosh, look what's going on, right? There's circulation and positional rotation. That's where it starts. Then in that position locations, it goes through its platforms. And 3 is a 4-track location of travel. Once it understands its platforms, it's understand how to walk the system and travel. Once it understands that, it understands its energetic low communication setting to its location line communication lines of travel and security line defense. Okay? Now, once you get into that, as the Earth is going through its clocking system, let's go through 12, 3, 6, and 9. Clocking setting, it comes into its own shape. Oh my gosh, this looks like a box. It's a box in position location to a triangulation that's inside the triangulation. What is the triangulation system? You, right? Modification lines of high center interference, Merkaba, tesseract, and tetrahedron, guys. But you have to coordinate the Earth, and the Earth has to be in its mechanism location to its own setting, space and time, and travel, right? So if you understand that, then you understand what's above, and then if you understand that, then you understand what's below, right? It's a bird's eye view looking down, and it's bird's eye view looking up, okay? Set position lines of calculation lines at high direct signal location to its system, and all lines of track calculation lines of screen lines adaptation. So this is the Earth at the bottom, okay? And this is the Earth at the top, okay? So understanding how to direct and redirect your signals. Understand how to direct and redirect your signals, okay? Understand how to direct and redirect your signals. What is that correct high coordinate standard attractions? What is it creating? It's creating a wave through Schumann resonance. Okay? Creating sonic waves, communication waves, lines of high interference, electrical line communication waves, high track location lines, magnetic high information discharge waves, track location waves, center communication lines, high center location CPU waves. Okay? Now, getting in that position locations, the actual Earth rotates its own system of its own setting in information location and balance. It sets position lines, information lines, and communication lines of its balance and track location. Now, you are in the center operation. You're here to basically bring the Earth and attractions and direct signals into modification lines. So getting this line signal that comes in line communication lines of balance and set coordinate center and travel. Getting communication lines of this line position location of the system. Oh my gosh, it looks like a figure 8. Now you understand the importance of what you're doing, this high center interference, how it becomes a figure 8 in a rotation lines of spin. Oh my gosh, General, this makes a lot more sense now. I understand the flywheel and track location, how I have to understand how to use an all formation location to its crown. So you create in a crown, as you see above, in position, and how you see below. Seeing below is actually seeing the top of the Earth. A bird's eye looking down. Setting lines of core track interference is actually the high position location to its bottom of its Earth. So you bring that, and you bring the position lines of high center interference and track locations in all lines of mechanism. And a 4 split lines of anomaly in high positioning platforms. All communication lines of circuitry, lines of rotation, lines of screen lines of adaptation. So it creates lines into a platform in position of Merkaba, tesseract, and its tetrahedron. That's how it becomes a teleportation vessel into track location system. Hoo-ah! Woo! How you see in all that information. Do you see how powerful that is? I just created affinity 8 from how I see things above and how I see things below. Below is above and up is down. Now you create that anomaly, you create affinity 8. And when you create the affinity 8, you're creating a what? A flower of life. What do you do when you're creating the flower of life? You're actually creating a set position of a circulation line condition setting and all lines of communication setting to a planet. Congratulations, you created the planet, right? Because you understand the track location of affinity 8 now. How it routes the system and travel. Setting core track interference, there's your Earth. Set correlation lines, here's your Earth. Okay, you are the platform and setting of center operation of you and traction. Okay, so it's very powerful when you understand how to go through the platforms now at a 45-degree angle. Then you can walk the surface, fly the surface, and levitate through the surface. Okay, then you can downshift line, cross line, screen lines adaptation to a system through its surface. Over cross line, cross referencing, guys. This is where it comes into string theory. And then you go in this position locations where you go on any lines of communication, lines of travel, and set position. Oh, you see that? Disappeared. Do you see it go black? Do you see it go black and come back? Woo! Did it on its own, right? But that's all it is. You stay in the center of operation. You just expand through the energetic dome and all lines of all communication inside the track locations to the mind itself. Hoo-ah. That's all it is. Nothing else. So how you understand and everything and how you see all lines of up, you see, whoa, so I got to bring this in and I got to bring the bottom in and I got to put myself in the center. So the Earth is trying to understand you through attractions, how it basically, the body itself is just an autopilot that brings the attractions together, a center operation of one. Comes from this cycle to this cycle. Oh, yin and yang, people, yin and yang, right? Routes the routers this way. See it like this. This is the bottom. This is the top. It comes together. It creates affinity 8, creates a platform, creates a circulation rotation. The faster it grows, it creates a particle accelerator of a portal that goes through its stargates, that goes through its mechanisms, that goes through its travels, that goes through its wormhole. Now, the Earth itself, in position, formulates the clocking system of 12, 3, 6, and 9. Creates a box. Creates a triangulation, right? Now, that's box triangulation, triangulation box. And that position is location system through your geometric operation design. So that's the birthing system of your Earth through clocking. Very powerful set correlations to travel. Hoo-ah. And that's all it is. Okay? That's all it is, guys. That's all it is. And that's how you create a planet through zeros and ones. Okay? From a tablet and a timeline. And all modification lines of space, lines of time. Okay? Your tablets and that position location, how to use that in a geographical system, puts you into levels in the high center interference. Tidal defense lines, communication lines, and screen lines, adaptation lines, ground line levels, line rotation surface, and track location line calculation setting through pi, all through a planet. Okay? So, but it's really interesting when you actually see it, how it comes into a Merkaba test circuit and a tetrahedron, how it creates its own space, how it creates its own time, how it creates its own notion of its own set position, of its own intelligence, of face recognition, of interface. Okay? So that's all it is. Let's go through this one more time. Okay? Clocking system align settings, high position of 12, into 3, into 6, into 9. Start with that, right? Now, sets lines of triangulation inside. Okay? Sets cross line calculation lines of high center. Direct lines into your tesseract tetrahedron and line position location modification. Okay? So it's all about understanding how to travel through the lines of platforms and line center operation of your system and travel. Okay? Set position lines of 6. This is your Earth. 6, which is mother. Okay? Mother's here. Okay? That's 6. 12 lines of signals. Sets core track interference of 2 platforms, 1 cycle, and flux of communication. Sets lines of grounds. Track lines, high center interference, high positional calculation lines, screens, lines of high center interference, high track location to a system. 12 line cycles into 9 to travel, right? Sets lines in father line and rotation surface, and lines of earth and rotation surface and track location. Okay? This is the bottom. This is the top. Okay? This is Mother Earth. This is Father Space. Okay? So to you, it's your grandmother and grandfather. But I'm just trying to show you how basically you see direct and how you see redirect and signal. How you see direct and how you see redirect and signal. So the Earth comes into its center settings. It comes into the energetic line wave and communicates lines of Schumann resonance. Okay, in set position. All right. The communication lines of the center line rotates the routers and setting core track interference your energetic dome. That's you in the center operation. Setting lines of high center interference, you get into platforms and high track locations. So the Earth itself routes the routers and becomes its own mechanism location of its own system of travel. So it's about basically bringing the position lines at the bottom and bringing line position at the top together, so it creates affinity 8 in line position location of travel. And once it creates affinity 8, then it rotates its routers and creates a line communication setting of communication. Now, once that comes together, it routes its routers again and comes into circulation of the continuous force that's in the same traction as that division. So once it gets in that position, it comes into its platform to have its own system, all can modify in a 4-track location. Travel, right? So it's getting a clocking system. Now, once you come into that setting, you got your platform set up at a 144, okay? Correlates in 4-track location of setting, right? So that's position line 12 into 1 in position of 3. Here's 3, right? Correlates lines of 4, sets positions of 5, correlation lines of 6. So you can change the clocking system, right? It doesn't have to be in order because it is in order. Just there's nothing out of order. It's all lines of how you see one platform of 4-track location lines of provision. You're clocking your system in all lines of a continuous force that keeps going in the same calculation setting, the same distance. Different lines of communication lines of platforms, expansion line calculation lines of energetic dome screen line adaptation lines of the surface. So once you guys understand the position, location, how it's set up through the Earth, then you understand how it becomes in line calculation setting the travels. Once it gets in position as part of accelerator, it becomes a spherical sphere in circulation and rotation. So you start to see it through a Merkaba test or a tetrahedron. Okay, all 3 platforms inside of you. Okay, that's how it comes in your system and travel. Okay, and you're in the center, navigating the system. Okay, and then you have your platforms. You know how to use your platforms now. How to expand the mind and line position location of travel. Your webbing system, your ground centers, your operation cycles, and track location. Right? Because all it is just bringing the Earth to you now. Okay, so that's what it is. You are all levels of attraction, right? The Earth does not come to you until you're ready. And when you're ready, everything comes in synchronized and track locations. So you become the center operation of you, and center lines all calculate and modify as center operation. So you actually become the earth, air, water, fire, and your line position location heart. And everything around you is just empty space. Nothing exists until you bring it into existence. That's it. We're done. Very powerful, eh? All through clocking, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm looking at my watch and I'm understanding what's going on through part accelerate, how I go back in time, or positions of time, or track locations, and height interference of time measure, time scale, time balance. Understand your part accelerators of you because you're all lines of communication lines of what? Your thermonuclear line position location of vortex of high correlation settings of vessels. You have to learn how to navigate your own system of own space and time of travel, all through the mind system, right? But understanding what's above and what's below now is how to bring in the affinity 8, puts a process of communication setting, come into that continuous force in the same position location of the system. If you get a track line communication high center, it outlines the high center interference and how you put position lines of 6 and how you put position lines of calculation lines of 9. So 9 is trying to understand 6 and 6 is trying to understand 9, right? So once they come together, they're inseparable. And they come in position lines of center operation of 6 and 9. They go in the continuous force and line position of its affinity cycle calculation. Setting lines of calculation lines of high center interference. Set position north, west, south, and east. Northwest, south, and east. It says position lines that correlates and setting of travels of 6 and 9 attraction. Okay? Very powerful stuff, isn't it? Because they're inseparable. So that means when you understand what's above and you understand what's below of your earth, and then you stand in the line positions, all you're doing is bringing your earth to you through attraction. But you got to keep yourself distracted from everything because you'll separate you from the earth. And the earth won't come to you until you identify you and how to navigate yourself first through attractions. And align signals and how you use, direct, and redirect your signals and calculation screen lines, guys. So when you're looking above, you're looking below. When you're looking down, you're looking above. Okay? So it's about bringing that infinity together into a process of calculations, how it has to have a continuous force. Once they come inseparable, they have a continuous line. They swim in the same ocean. That swims in the same time, the same measure, the same locations of the center lines of calculation lines, which is all formations of what? Not just the nothing, no foundation. Okay? It just is. That's it. So when you look at everything, you just realize it just is. Because I understand the connections of its energetic flow, which basically has no memory and all memory. You put that together in set position. Memory, no memory, all memory. Memory, no memory. You come into no memory, to memory, and then you come back to all memory. No memory, memory, all memory. That's you coming into your system. You lose yourself, you find yourself, you are yourself. I am myself now. These are all provisions that you guys come into your polarities. All through infinity 8. Once you stand the tractation, what's above, and what's the position location, what's below. See? This is the thing. This is about understanding, yes, when I look above, it's the earth. When I look below, it's the earth. When I look side to side, it's the earth. Because it's all together. It's all separable. That's all it is. It's a continuous force that has an existing, not its existence, just the existing of a continuous force that just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. Just keeps going. It doesn't stop. Nothing stops, but it doesn't exist. It stays invisible until it comes out of visibility. And that's where it gets interesting. That's where you have to control your system and how to direct and redirect everything that comes into your information locations of balance. How you formulate that, how you simulate that, and how you bring things into existence. As long as you don't bring anything to existence, it doesn't exist, people. Because there's nothing to be attracted to. I'm trying to get you guys to understand these things. Don't bring yourself into existence until you understand what an actual thought is. Because you're bringing in the action, you're bringing the emotion. Congratulations, you created a program. And when you create these programs, you're bringing yourself out of existence. Now you exist, everything around you. Okay? You have to be consciously aware of what you're doing as you come out of no foundations, the foundations, to its consciousness, to its awareness. Okay? That's a direct line sight now. What are you going to do? How are you going to bring things into existence is how you determine what happens next. And how you see yourself through a clocking system. All through particle acceleration. Of mind, lines of calculation, lines of navigation, lines of travel. Okay? That's all this is. That's all this is. The most powerful thing is don't focus on distractions. Because that's going to keep you separated in the mind. The process of communication lines of highest interference is the conversion of the brain and how to use the hardware and software. They have to come in a full alignment with each other. They have to be in position locations of each other. They can't be inseparable. They can't be inseparable. Okay? Now, once you start to identify that, then you identify that positions of your earth and position what's above. And then once you understand what's below, then you understand what's above and what's below. Then you understand, whoa, I can see my earth all the way around at a 4-line angle. I can see my earth on a 4-line angle everywhere in position, which become the existence of everything. And how you start to see things under circulation rotations, Not just seeing a flat surface. You see from here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. You see it in all lines of mechanism. Because you're keeping yourself distracted from everything else and you're just focusing on yourself. Like I said, the only thing you want to focus on is you, nothing else. To understand what is above and what is inside and what's below and what's over here, what's over here, what's over here, and what's over here. It's all levels of you inside. Your mechanism line position of space and time is trying to understand what is going on with you when you come into attraction. Now you're bringing things into existence. Now you're taking it into consciousness. Now you're bringing it to its awareness. It's up to you and how you bring these things in. Because now you're bringing in attractions into you that you can identify what it is through its intelligence. Okay? That's all this is in track location. Understand yourself through clocking system. Of your 12, your 3, your 6, and your 9. Congratulations. E equals MC square. E equals MC square. You're created to that through GOD. And what you've mechanized in the high center interference, then you understand the information locations, how you see things above, how you see things aside, and how you see things below. Then you have a direct line link. Because not only you see your earth changing all formations, not just up, not what's below, not what's inside, it's all levels of you and center operation, which is nothing. Nothing exists. It's how you bring things into existence. Because now your body is an attraction. Because everything is looking at you right away because you did not know exactly how to control your patterns of behavior. You're creating drama. Stop doing that. Okay? Or you're never going to understand you through attractions and how it works in all formations of your systems. How to calculate and modify that and see that through the mass of you. How you see your earth, your air, your water, and your fire. It's about putting 5 line positions of your 5 elements back together. Especially when your oversoul comes in a high correlation to high center interference or an overlying communications. That puts lines of overcharge or combustion or lines of separation of a virus or anything through malware. Because you decided not to stay in the foundations of nothing. There's no foundations of anything that's created until you come into that. And once you come into that, you're bringing a thought, bringing the action that brings it into its emotional system. So now you understand what it is to intelligence, or you're not understanding what it is to intelligence. But either way, you're bringing the attraction. Now, how you determine that is how you see yourself. Right? You stay invisible, or you come to expansion of exploration. It's up to you. You decide what you want to do. You are in control of you. Because if you're not in control of you, who is controlling you? Everything through it's an outcast that's controlling your system. Come on in. 500,000 people in your house. They don't know you from Adam. So what did you just do? You took your safety and your net. Right? You took your fortress and your solitude. You might as well just give them the keys to the house. Okay? Hoo-ah! See you in 5.